Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Daily Dose Radio. I hope that if you're listening to Daily Dose Radio across YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or any of the platforms, Spreaker, that Daily Dose Radio is on, that you will hit the subscribe, like, follow button, whatever is appropriate for that platform. And, that way Daily Dose Radio will come to your feed and you'll know when new episodes are uploaded. I'm especially interested in your subscription on YouTube. I'd love to have you follow me on YouTube and be a subscriber there. Today we're looking at Psalm 92, verses 4, 5, and 6. Yesterday we saw the call to worship. It is a good thing. It's a good thing to do what? Two things. Give thanks, sing praise. And then we're told why we should do this, and then how we're to do it, because in verse 3 we have the instruments, 10-string psaltery harp, and a solemn sound. So today we come from the call of worship, and we hear, first of all, the voice of our leader, the psalmist, the worshiper. For he speaks in verse 4, and then we have some information here about the Lord and about the brutish man. We'll see more about that here in just a moment. So if you're looking there at verses 4, 5, and 6, let me read those for you. For thou, Lord, hast made me glad through thy work. I will triumph in the works of thy hands. O Lord, how great are thy works, and thy thoughts are very deep. A brutish man knoweth not, neither doth a fool understand this. 4 actually would nicely fit with the call to worship. For Lord, you have made me glad through thy work. So we had the why in verse 2, why are we to give thanks and sing praise? We had the how in verse 3. And then we have this personal confession here in verse 4, you've made me glad. So the worshiper now makes this personal. So it's not just a call to worship on the Sabbath day for the congregation, but this has been personalized by our leader here, the psalmist, who is our stylized worshiper. So he has made me glad through his work, that is the Lord. I will triumph in the works of thy hands. What are the works of his hands? Of course, we have that again in verse 5 as well, don't we? O Lord, how great are thy works. Thy thoughts are very deep. Okay, so we've had works now. Well, actually, we've had it 3 times. We had it once there in the first phrase in verse 4. Again, the works of thy hands in the second phrase of verse 4, and then the first phrase in verse 5, how great are thy works. So we're talking about creation. He's the creator. We're talking about his miraculous deliverance of the children of Israel. We're talking about his giving them the land of Palestine through the conquest. We're talking about all the things that he did for the people of Israel. This psalmist is focusing in on those things as the subject of this thanksgiving and praise. However, there's a problem here, because not everybody is going to be involved in this. A brutish man knoweth not, neither doth a fool understand this. There are lots of brutish, foolish people who will ignore and reject the works of God. They want to see creation not as creation, but they want to see creation as accident. They don't want to see God's hand in the created order. Neither do they affirm all the works that God did for Israel. They won't affirm what he's done for them in the past. They won't affirm what he's done in the present. They won't affirm the cross or the resurrection. They won't affirm anything that God has done by his hand. All of those things are open for us. They're subjects for us to give thanks and to praise God for, because they specifically highlight his loving kindness and his faithfulness, which was the why question. Why should we do this? Because God has been loving, kind, and faithful. And then we see why. His works, all that he's done. So tomorrow we'll pick up in verse 7 and read 7, 8, and 9. I hope you join me then on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.